Hey, good evening, everyone. It's Ed with EAPQs. Going to do a video today on a full-length core that I've been making. It's this one right here. I actually had something on my Facebook the other day where I was cutting it down with Kelly's program. This is going to be for a 30-inch cue. The core is out of Keel wood. I'm working with koa wood stabilized. This was actually brought back from a customer when he was in Hawaii, so he sent it to me with the request that I make him a cue and cocobolo. This has been stabilized, so it's actually fairly heavy. It's not much different than the cocobolo, which is generally much heavier wood than koa wood is. So, you know, let's see, 7.25, 7. So I'm only a quarter of an ounce different. So that goes to show how much, when I stabilized it, it gained weight. So that's one of the reasons. And he's wanting a fairly light cue, somewhere around 18 ounces. So that's one of the reasons why I'm just going with a full length core. That's a lot of the times what dictates what I do, whether, you know, somebody's looking for a heavier cue, a lighter cue, the type of wood, so forth. You know, something you have to get a little bit used to. There are some programs out there. There's a couple cue makers that have some programs that they've shared with us also. If you know them, maybe you've got the program and is using it. I think Kelly has one as well. But anyway, I actually did some threading on this yesterday or the other day in another video. But this is how I make my full length cores. This is actually a step core. You can see the step here. Down to 650 here, a little over 750 here for everything that I needed. Allows me to get my ring work on it, exactly what I need. I do come in here and cut some glue grooves in it, you know, all the way up. I base it on where my rings are going to be. And then I also run a three parallel glue lines all the way through this. So allows my glue good places to expand into and gives me a really tight bond. Another thing I do is on the inside of my pieces here. Let me see if you can actually see this or not. Gosh, maybe the lighting isn't the best. Let me see. I have to get a flashlight here. Okay, might be a little better. You can see inside of it where it's actually threaded. Okay, you'll see I do that on all of these pieces. Here's a cocobolo. You can see the thread inside. The thread is merely for glue adhesion. Okay, it comes up, I don't know, somewhere around 2.5, 3 inches, whatever my threader is. I have a fairly long threader that I do this with. So it comes up, yeah, about where my thumb is right there on the end of each of them. And I give that glue something really good to bond onto for, you know, long-term adhesion. So same thing in the butt sleeve. What I did here, oops, again, let me find my flashlight. Yeah, you can see it in the butt sleeve. Now these I just do on one end because the butt sleeve's short enough. You know, by the time I come all the way up here, no need to do anything more than that. You'll see I have everything marked out. You know, my fronts, my center line. This is actually my line where my rings are going to line up with here, here, and here. Then my core also tells me my top. Okay, so this is the top. This becomes the top. These all line up, and the reason why, I have my grain going one way on my wood and my core grain going the opposite way so that I have different grain structure when I put my cues together. So, and then this was the thread on the back end for the, okay, I pause that, try to get a little better lighting here. This is a thread on the back end for the butt cap. Okay, everything's been, you know, fitted already. But this is the back end. I don't know how well you can see this, but if you can see it, this wood again is slightly darker in color. And the reason being, remember I talked about earlier, this is keel wood. What do I do to keel wood? I soak it with thin CA glue and it helps harden that wood up for when I thread it. So actually it gives it a pretty nice thread overall. You know, if you see if I can get a good image of that thread right there. It's pretty good. Yeah, you can see it's got a nice clean thread to it, okay, overall. So, and that's what you want. And then, you know, the assembly process is, you know, kind of up to you, however you want to do it, the type of glues you want to use and so forth. You know, I know I use Gorilla Glue. I'm just going to kind of slap this thing together real quick, just so you can see it. Okay, top here, line things up, top there. All right, you can see my step actually comes up inside of this a little bit, which is what I want. Then, you know, I start stacking my rings on it. Ring stacks, front. I know everything's going to fit because I did it. Now, remember, I have to line these rings up. That becomes very tricky when you start gluing these things up, especially, you know, all in one piece. There's a method I use, top secret. I don't share it, but, you know, it works well for me. And more rings. Again, they're not going to line up exactly for right now because I'm just dry fitting this just to show everybody how things line up. Hear that? Nice solid hit. Nice solid sound. That means everything's really faced off well. When you start hearing that, more rings. Again, I got all my marks here. There's actually the mark, and there's a very thin cut line on here that I can see when I get ready to truly line things up. And even this, you know, I have my mark, which is my top and my F. Whoops, you know what? I actually had this one. Not that it matters because I'm just dry fitting it, but I do want everything to be proper. My F means my front, and the reason I do that is, again, grain structure, the look of it. You know, I know how everything's supposed to line up, dry fitted. That's why it'll be perfect when I go to do it for the final time. Rings, boom, and then my cap. Now, when you start doing this, one of the things you'll want to do is make sure that, you know, you mark somewhere along the line here. You mark where the back of your cap is right now. That's basically tight. And hoping you can see everything I'm doing. Take this cap back off. I put that mark there for a reason. And take everything back off here. We know this is never going to move because it's locked in with both the joint collar and the step here. So this would be the only piece that would deviate. So when you know you kind of got things where it needs to be, there's my line. One thing I will want to make sure of. Whoops. Yeah, you can see how good of a fit everything is. It's tight, you know. There's enough room for the Gorilla Glue. That's what you want. I've tested these things. I've beat the hell out of them before to make sure that, you know, they really do hold up well, and they do. I've actually cut them in half before. You know, I've had a couple cues I've messed up on, so I took the opportunity to use those and test them and, you know, see the strength and the durability of them. So I put this line on here for a reason, to show you. Here's my line. I want to tighten this up. I want to make sure that when this tightens up, this actually does go past. Oh, I need some oil on that thing, don't I? Yeah, okay. Now I'm going past that line by that much. I'll never get that much compression in this cube, but it lets me know that I have the ability to actually compress. Let me see if I can get to it. Yeah, here's my line. That I have the ability to actually compress this cube by that much, 1/16 of an inch. Everything was already tight before. It'll never compress that much, but you want to make sure you're not, unintentionally bottoming out, and then you can't get things to tighten up properly. So that's the basic steps on my full length cores. Again, people do them different. Some people, you know, thread them together down in here. It's completely up to you. Some people do a full length the same size and they put everything together. I do like stepping them down. It just gives me a little bit more meat on the nose of my forearm by doing it this way. It's just what I'm comfortable with. Again, I'm not saying what anybody does is any better, any worse. It's just all preference when we're building these things. And again, these videos are just for some information. You know, we have a lot of people posting stuff that, hey, there's not much on YouTube. So we're trying to come up with, you know, some videos that kind of show you the different steps, different ways of doing things. Again, this is what works for me. This is what I've come up with over the years. It's not exactly what I started off with, because I've changed a little bit over the years. You know, I didn't used to thread everything. You know, over the last couple of years, I've started threading everything. I just think it's better for me. Okay, I've learned different processes as I go along. You know, I don't know any cube builder that started doing something one way and never changed. I mean, it's just we try to keep evolving until we find something that works really well for us. And this seems to be working well for me at this point. Okay, so anyway, I hope that helps. Again, Kelly's program allowed me to make this, you know, this step right here, pretty easy to do, not a big deal. It works well. Any questions you may have, let me know. I will be gluing this up with, you know, the urethane Gorilla Glue, which is expanding glue, and then some West System as well. So for my ring work, I use a combination of both. But all right, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.